What if I told you that one of the world's most iconic billion-dollar empires didn't start in a skyscraper, or a fancy boardroom, or even with a college degree, but on a duck farm in rural Thailand? You won't believe this. The man who created Red Bull, a drink sold in nearly every country on Earth, was once just a poor farm boy cleaning duck coops. No money, no privilege, no future, or so the world thought. This shocking story isn't the polished version of success you see in ads. It's raw, it's messy, it almost didn't work. What really happened was a series of struggles, rejections, and bold risks that no one saw coming. The kind of journey that reveals hidden lessons most people never hear about. And once you understand it, it could change how you see your own path forever. Now, before we dive in, I've put together something special, an exclusive guide with 10 lessons from the world's greatest business empires. It's linked in the description, and it goes hand in hand with this story. Because as you'll see, the truth revealed here isn't just about Red Bull. It's about the exact mindset and strategies that turn impossible dreams into billion-dollar realities. So let's rewind the clock back to a boy who had nothing but grit, persistence, and a vision no one believed in. Because what started in silence, in a forgotten corner of Thailand, would one day create a brand so powerful, it gave wings to the entire world. Topic 1. Humble beginnings. Was born in a place where opportunity didn't even have a name. Rural Thailand in the 1920s wasn't about dreams of wealth or international fame, it was about survival. Chaleo Yoovidhya grew up surrounded not by skyscrapers or modern comforts, but rice fields, wooden shacks, and the daily noise of farm animals. His family worked on a duck farm, where dawn meant labor and dusk meant exhaustion. There was no promise of tomorrow being better, and yet, from these unlikely roots, one of the world's most shocking stories of success would quietly begin to take shape. Imagine this: while other kids dreamed of toys, Chaleo's hands were busy cleaning duck coops and hauling feed. He had no fine clothes, no polished shoes, no shiny school bags. The only lesson he had was that life doesn't hand you anything. You work for it, or you go without. This truth revealed itself early, and it shaped his view of the world. Where others might see limits, Chaleo began to see hidden lessons about discipline, endurance, and survival. Before we dive deeper, I've put together an exclusive guide with 10 powerful lessons from the world's greatest business empires. It's in the description, and it connects perfectly to what you're about to hear. Because Chaleo's rise proves something shocking: you don't need privilege to start building greatness. You need resilience, and you need to see opportunity where no one else does. This is the secret behind it. But back then, there were no signs of greatness around him. Thailand's countryside was tough, and being poor meant staying poor. No one saw it coming that a boy from a duck farm would one day create a drink consumed in over 170 countries. And yet, as he watched his parents struggle day after day, he absorbed one lesson that most people miss: hardship can be your greatest training ground. The work ethic he forged there would later become the fuel behind an empire. Think about it. When you wake up tired, when you feel like life is too heavy, that's the exact same feeling truck drivers, laborers, and farmers in Thailand carried every day. They needed energy to survive, and decades later, Chaleo would build the solution that spoke directly to them. It almost didn't work at first, but those early memories of exhaustion would help him design something no one else dared to imagine. What really happened in those years wasn't just poverty, it was preparation. The shocking story is that greatness doesn't always announce itself with bright lights. Sometimes it starts in silence, in forgotten corners, in duck farms that smell of mud and feathers. That's where Chaleo learned persistence, that's where he found his will. And that's where the foundation of Red Bull was laid, long before the first can was ever cracked open. It could have ended there, but instead, it was just the beginning. Topic 2. Early struggles and work ethic. Leaving the duck farm behind didn't mean stepping into comfort. Chaleo's first jobs were in the pharmaceutical and food industries, where he started at the very bottom. He wasn't a scientist, and he wasn't some privileged executive. He was just another worker trying to learn, observe, and climb. No one believed this quiet young man would one day challenge global giants. But inside, he carried something others didn't: the hunger to prove that background doesn't define destiny. The food and pharmaceutical business in mid-century Thailand was rough. Margins were small, competition was brutal, and opportunities were scarce. Chaleo learned how products lived or died based on whether people felt they truly needed them. This was a hidden lesson he carried with him. Success wasn't about fancy branding yet. It was about solving real problems for real people. Every failure he watched, every product that collapsed, became his classroom, and then came something unexpected. He discovered the emerging world of functional beverages, energy boosters, health tonics, drinks that promised more than just quenching thirst. You won't believe this, but in those days, most people laughed at the idea. Who needed a special drink to work harder or stay awake longer? To them, it felt gimmicky, even unnecessary. The skepticism was everywhere. Investors rolled their eyes. Colleagues dismissed it as a fad, but Chaleo wasn't convinced by their doubt. He had lived fatigue, hunger, and long hours of labor. He knew exactly how draining survival could be. And when he saw workers dragging themselves through 12-hour shifts, he saw a market no one else wanted to serve. This changed everything. Where others saw nonsense, he saw an opportunity that spoke directly to the pain he had lived himself. What no one tells you is that skepticism often hides gold. Of course, chasing this vision almost didn't work. Without connections or capital, he couldn't just walk into a boardroom and pitch the idea. He had to test, refine, and prove it in silence. That persistence, forged back on the farm, became his greatest tool. Every time someone doubted him, it was fuel. Every rejection wasn't the end, it was a step closer to clarity. Learn from this mistake of others. Don't let doubt kill an idea before you even test it. And here's where his story connects with you. How many times have you had an idea but pushed it aside because people said it was crazy? Chaleo teaches us that what really happened in those early years was simple. The world doubted, but he worked anyway. That relentless ethic, not talent, not money, became the backbone of the empire he was about to build. And soon, he'd launch something that would shock everyone. Topic 3. The birth of Krating Daeng. In the 1970s, Chaleo made a move that no one saw coming. After years of learning in the pharmaceutical and food business, he began developing his own drink. Something bold, functional, and unapologetically different. The formula was simple yet powerful, a mix of caffeine, taurine, and vitamins designed to fight exhaustion. He called it Krating Daeng, which translates to Red Bull in Thai. At the time, no one believed this humble bottle would rewrite the rules of global business. Unlike soft drinks marketed to the middle and upper classes, Krating Daeng was built for workers, truck drivers hauling cargo through sleepless nights, farmers pushing through the heat, and factory laborers burning their strength day after day. This was his audience. And here's the shocking story. While global brands obsessed over polished ads, Chaleo focused on the people who actually needed fuel just to survive. He spoke to the ones everyone else ignored. The branding wasn't glamorous. No shiny cans, no cool slogans. Just a charging bulls on a label, fierce and raw, representing strength and endurance. That cultural connection mattered. In Thai tradition, the bull symbolized power, grit, and the ability to push through impossible odds. What really happened is that Chaleo wasn't selling just a drink, he was selling a piece of identity to men who felt invisible. He made them feel seen. At first, it almost didn't work. The idea of an energy drink was still foreign, even laughable. But slowly, word spread among drivers and workers that this strange little bottle kept you awake, kept you moving, kept you alive when exhaustion should have crushed you. No marketing campaign could match the power of one tired worker saying to another, "Try this, it works." That was the secret behind it. Here's the hidden lesson. Sometimes the smartest business move isn't chasing luxury markets or elite customers. It's solving a problem so painfully real that people can't ignore it. And this is where I want to pause, because in the exclusive guide I mentioned earlier, one of the lessons digs deep into how the world's greatest empires found strength by serving the overlooked. If you want to build something that lasts, that's where you start. Links in the description. By the late 70s, Krating Daeng had built a loyal following among Thailand's working class. No big billboards, no celebrity endorsements, just results. Chaleo had proven everyone wrong. Energy drinks weren't a fad, they were survival in a bottle. What no one tells you is that sometimes the most powerful revolutions don't roar onto the scene, they whisper bottle by bottle until the world can't ignore them anymore. Topic 4. Partnership with Dietrich Mateschitz. Fate works in mysterious ways. In the early 1980s, during one of his business trips, Austrian marketer Dietrich Mateschitz stumbled upon Chaleo's small but powerful drink. You won't believe this. He tried Krating Daeng while struggling with jet lag, and the effect was immediate. It didn't just wake him up, it sparked a vision. That single sip connected East and West, tradition and innovation, and it changed everything. Dietrich wasn't just another businessman. He was a sharp marketer with a talent for spotting potential. Where most Europeans would have dismissed Krating Daeng as a quirky Asian product, Dietrich saw a goldmine. He realized that the drink wasn't just functional, it could be branded, packaged, and scaled for the entire world. The truth revealed here is simple. Sometimes, it takes an outsider to see the treasure hiding in plain sight. When he met Chaleo, the partnership seemed unlikely at first. One man came from rural Thailand, the other from the structured corporate world of Austria. And yet, they clicked. They both understood work, discipline, and risk. More importantly, they both believed in the drink when nearly everyone else thought it could never cross borders. This was the shocking story no one saw coming. Two men from different worlds shaking hands on a billion-dollar future. Together, they made a daring decision to rebrand Krating Daeng for global markets. The bottle became a sleek silver-blue can, the name translated into English, and Red Bull was born. But what really happened wasn't just a design change, it was a complete transformation. They were no longer selling a tonic for tired workers. They were about to sell a lifestyle, a culture, an identity. Of course, this leap almost didn't work. Distributors doubted it, investors scoffed, and consumers outside Asia had no idea what an energy drink even was. It could have ended here, but the partnership between Chaleo and Dietrich was unshakable. They bet not just on a product, but on an idea that the world was ready for something radical, even if the world didn't know it yet. That's the secret behind it. Here's the hidden lesson for anyone listening. Your big break might not come from where you expect. Sometimes it's a chance meeting, a conversation, a single moment that changes your trajectory forever. And if you've been following this story so far, you know this is just the beginning. Because what Chaleo and Dietrich did next would not only silence the skeptics, it would build one of the boldest global empires in modern history. Topic 5. Global expansion strategy. When Red Bull hit international markets, the odds were stacked against it. No one knew what an energy drink was, and traditional advertising didn't seem like the right weapon. So Chaleo and Dietrich did something radical. They didn't buy TV spots or plaster billboards with generic slogans. Instead, they engineered hype. You won't believe this. The entire expansion strategy was built around making people feel the brand before they even tasted it. The first move? Extreme sports, skydiving, snowboarding, cliff diving, activities that screamed danger, adrenaline, and freedom. Red Bull attached its name to the kind of events no other company dared to touch. And slowly, the truth revealed itself. They weren't just selling a drink, they were selling a lifestyle. If you wanted to push limits, Red Bull was the fuel. That message was louder than any commercial. They also used guerrilla marketing tactics that were way ahead of their time. Students would walk around college campuses handing out free cans during exams. Branded cars with giant Red Bull cans on top drove through busy streets, sparking curiosity everywhere. No one saw it coming, but people started chasing those cars. Just to get a taste, The secret behind it was simple: create demand by making the product feel scarce, almost exclusive. And here's what really happened. Instead of forcing the market to accept them, Red Bull created its own tribe. Youth culture, athletes, students, and night owls adopted the brand as their own. They weren't buying caffeine in a can, they were buying identity, adrenaline, rebellion. It almost didn't work in the beginning, but once the momentum hit, the wave was unstoppable. This is where you can learn from this mistake most entrepreneurs make. They tried to compete on price or tradition. Red Bull didn't. They built a story so magnetic that people paid a premium for it. And just as we break this down, remember, in the exclusive guide I mentioned earlier, there's a full section on how to transform your idea into a movement, not just a product. That's the kind of insight that turns small ventures into empires. By the mid-1990s, Red Bull wasn't just an energy drink anymore, it was a global symbol. They had cracked open markets in Europe, North America, and Asia without ever playing by the old rules. What no one tells you is that sometimes breaking convention isn't risky, it's necessary. And Red Bull proved that if you're bold enough, the world doesn't just accept your brand. It starts to crave it. Topic 6: Overcoming doubts. And failure has been every success story. There are chapters most people never hear about. For Red Bull, the early years in Europe were anything but smooth. You won't believe this, investors laughed at the concept, calling it a weird Asian tonic with no future. Supermarkets hesitated to stock it. Regulators even questioned whether it was safe to drink. No one saw it coming, but the drink that would one day dominate the world nearly died before it ever got started. Imagine pitching an idea where you say, "It's not soda, it's not juice, it's not coffee, it's something else entirely." People didn't know how to categorize it, and businesses hate things they can't label. The truth revealed is that breaking new ground always looks like madness to those stuck in old rules. And yet, that's exactly where the opportunity hides. Dietrich and Chaleo faced rejection after rejection. Investors slammed doors. Some countries even banned the product temporarily. It almost didn't work. Red Bull could have ended there. But instead of folding, they doubled down. They kept pushing the narrative, kept handing out cans, kept tying the brand to adrenaline-fueled events that nobody else dared to sponsor. That persistence kept the idea alive. The shocking story is that even in the face of resistance, they never changed the core of their product. They didn't water it down to fit in. They didn't pivot to look like everyone else. They stayed loyal to their vision: energy in a can, identity in a brand. What no one tells you is that sometimes the boldest move is not changing when the world pressures you to. And here's the hidden lesson for you: rejection isn't a signal to stop, it's proof you're onto something different. The world didn't need another cola. It needed something new. Red Bull delivered that. And if you think about your own projects, how often have you let no kill your momentum? Learn from this mistake. A no isn't the end, it's the beginning of proof. By the late 90s, Red Bull had survived its trial by fire. The critics were still out there, but the sales spoke louder. Slowly, the drink started carving a space of its own. And what really happened is that failure didn't stop them, it fueled them. Every rejection, every ban, every doubt became part of the mythology. Red Bull wasn't just an energy drink anymore. It was the rebel that refused to die. Topic 7: Explosive success. By the early 2000s, the tide had turned. What once looked like a niche drink from Thailand became a global powerhouse. You won't believe this. In just a few decades, Red Bull went from being laughed at to dominating shelves in over 170 countries. It wasn't luck, it wasn't chance. It was the result of a vision that refused to bow to doubt. And now, the world couldn't get enough. Red Bull didn't just sell well, it exploded. In 2019 alone, 7.9 billion cans were sold. That's more than one can for every single person on Earth. The truth revealed is that this wasn't just about clever marketing. It was about understanding the human need for energy, drive, and identity in a fast-moving world. Red Bull gave people something they didn't even know they were missing: Everywhere you looked, the brand was there, sponsoring Formula One teams, breaking records with space jumps, hosting cliff diving competitions. Red Bull wasn't just a drink, it became a cultural icon tied to adrenaline, youth, and possibility. What really happened is that the product blurred the line between business and entertainment. Red Bull was the show. It almost didn't work at first, but once the dominoes started falling, the growth was unstoppable. College students pulling all-nighters, athletes chasing peak performance, workers grinding through endless shifts. Everyone found a reason to keep a can close by. That universal connection is what made Red Bull more than a brand. It became a verb. Red Bull gives you wings. And here's the hidden lesson: explosive growth isn't just about numbers, it's about resonance. Red Bull built a story that made people feel alive, daring, limitless. That's the secret behind it, and if you've been following along, remember, the exclusive guide in the description breaks down how brands like this turn stories into empires. It's not theory, it's the blueprint. By now, Red Bull was printing money and rewriting history. What no one tells you is that success at this level isn't just about fortune, it's about timing, courage, and an almost irrational belief in your idea. From a duck farm in Thailand to billions of cans worldwide, Red Bull wasn't just a product anymore, it was proof that no dream is too crazy. Topic 8. Legacy and billion-dollar empire. From duck farms to boardrooms, the arc of Chaleo Yoovidhya's life is nothing short of cinematic. He started as a boy with nothing, no wealth, no education, no privilege, and ended as one of the richest men in Asia. You won't believe this. His net worth soared into the billions, built not from tradition or inheritance, but from one idea that no one believed in at first. That's what really happened, and he wasn't alone. His partner, Dietrich Mateschitz, also rose to unimaginable heights, becoming one of Europe's wealthiest men. Together, they didn't just create a company, they rewrote culture. Red Bull became more than a drink. It became a symbol of possibility, of rebellion, of youth pushing past its limits. The shocking story is that two men from opposite worlds built something the world couldn't ignore. Think about it. Red Bull isn't just in your local convenience store. It's in Formula One, in music festivals, in extreme sports arenas, even in the stratosphere with Felix Baumgartner's space jump. The brand became a cultural icon, tied to adrenaline, courage, and that restless hunger to go further. What no one tells you is that the true empire wasn't built on cans, it was built on identity. It almost didn't work. Remember, every rejection, every doubt, every ban could have killed the dream, but instead, each obstacle became fuel. That's the hidden lesson. Your background, your failures, your hardships, none of it disqualifies you. If anything, it sharpens you. Red Bull's billion-dollar empire proves that resilience beats resources every single time. Here's where you can apply this to your own life. Maybe your idea feels too small, or people keep telling you it won't work. Chaleo's story shows what happens when you refuse to listen. And if you want to dig even deeper into these strategies, how empires are really built, I put everything together in an exclusive guide, linked in the description. It's designed to help you take these lessons and apply them right now. Chaleo passed away in 2012, but his empire lives on stronger than ever. Billions of cans sold every year, billions of dollars in revenue, and a cultural footprint that spans the globe. From a poor farmer in Thailand to a global legacy, this is the ultimate proof. No dream is too small, no background too humble, and no rejection too final. Red Bull didn't just give wings to its customers. It gave wings to its creator. So here's the truth revealed. Chaleo Yoovidhya's journey from duck farms to billion-dollar boardrooms wasn't luck. It was resilience, it was vision, and it was the refusal to quit when the world said no. What no one tells you is that the line between obscurity and greatness is often just one bold decision. He made his, and it changed everything. But now the question is, what about you? What hidden lesson from his story resonates the most with your own life? Could it be the persistence to push past rejection, the courage to chase an idea everyone else doubts, or maybe the reminder that your background doesn't define your future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to see which part of this shocking story spoke to you the loudest. And if you've made it this far, you already know this isn't just about Red Bull, it's about building something bigger than yourself. That's why I created the exclusive guide with 10 lessons from the world's most powerful empires. It's linked below. If Chaleo's story lit a fire in you, that guide is your next step to turning inspiration into action. Because remember, it almost didn't work for him, and yet he built a cultural icon. The secret behind it wasn't privilege or luck, it was grit, strategy, and timing. And if he could go from a duck farm to a global empire, imagine what you could build with the right mindset. So if you're ready to take the leap, check out the guide, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. We've got more stories like this, stories that will challenge what you think is possible. Until next time, stay hungry, stay bold, and never forget, the wings are already in you.